In a small Welsh town called Kidwelly, a sex cult began by a man named Colin Batley. He was an evil pedophile that used women and children as sex slaves. This is the true crime story of a cult that is never talked about. So join me at the murder she shed for this truly weird cult crime. Even weirder than me, and that's saying a lot. So if you dare, join me in my crime lair to hear crime cases with a dramatic flair. I must give you a warning on this one. It does involve SA of younger children, so viewer discretion is advised. And also, when I bleep out words in this episode due to YouTube censors, it will be either SEX or the word RAPE. Now, let's dive right into it. The self-styled high priest Colin Batley grew up in Shoreditch, London, and once worked for Tesco as a night security guard. He also ran a fruit and vegetable stand. Colin claimed his late lorry driver father SA'd him as a child. In the 1990s, he moved to Kidwelly. How lucky is that for you people in Kidwelly? Kidwelly is a town and community in Carmarthenshire. Sorry if I said that wrong. Southwest Wales. Kidwelly is a coastal town that boasts a population of around 3,000 friendly people. The area is a superb mix of rolling countryside, seashore, and woodland, and home to the Kidwelly Castle, which looks gorgeous, by the way. I'd love to see that. That'd be awesome. What the friendly town didn't know is that a pedophile had moved to their town and he was going to bring his whole daggum cult family that would later be known as the Kidwelly sex cult. Colin and his wife Elaine, along with his sons and one daughter Hope, moved into a beautiful home in cul-de-sac area of Kidwelly that had well-manicured homes, and some of his followers moved in the same neighborhood too. Two of his slaves, Jacqueline Marling and Shelley Miller, moved into houses on that same street. There were additional members of the cult that did not live in the cul-de-sac. Colin was inspired by the works of a Satanist, ALEISTER CROWLEY, who died in 1947. Female members of the sect referred to Colin as "my lord." Women in the cult, which they called the church, filled their homes with ancient Egyptian idolatry and wore Eye of Horus protection symbols tattooed on their arms, celebrating Crowley's worship of the Egyptian hawk god Horus. Scruffy and by now jobless, Colin, who had several missing teeth, would read from the cult Bible, the book of the law that was written by Crowley more than a century ago. Colin's followers, including the children, were forced to listen to his horrible sermons all day and memorize the book of the law on Sundays with no food or drinks. Annabelle Forrest was 7 years old when her mom, Jacqueline Marling, joined the cult and moved next door to Colin and his family. Annabelle had a younger half-sister that was only 4 years old at that time. The first time Annabelle met Colin, she was dragged out of bed by her mom and taken into the dark living room, which was only lit up by a candle. She could barely see the scary figure of a man sitting in a chair in the corner of the dark room. She heard his deep voice command, "Come here, Annabelle." So she very slowly started walking toward him. He then told her, "You know, your family has come here to be a part of something very special. This is where your life in the church begins." Then the man gestured for her mom to come to him, and her mom kneeled down and began performing an act on him. We'll just put it that way. Being only 7 years old, Annabelle did not even understand what was going on, but then Colin, whose name she would learn later, motioned for her to come closer. Scared and confused, she walked up to him and her mom, and in a low whisper, the man said, "One day, I will have you, Annabelle." And then he told her she could go back to her bedroom. It's so gross. for a grown man to say that to a child. 7-year-old child is just disgusting. The next few years, Annabelle became best friends with Colin's daughter, Hope, who was only a year older than her. She would often walk next door to play with her new friend. When Annabelle turned 11 years old, her and Hope were jumping on the trampoline with the other friends from the cult. When Annabelle became overheated, she went in to cool off and laid on Hope's bed. Suddenly, Colin appeared at the door and, for the first time, forcibly raped her. After he finished, he said, "I told you I would have you." This man is disturbing. After that, he started coming into her house at night and making her do things she did not even understand, as she had still been just an innocent child. Her only happiness was at school, which she was still able to attend. Once every few months, the followers were made to wear robes that were full-length gowns with hoods for the occult rituals that were performed to worship their gods. After these rituals, they would then have a giant orgy. When Annabelle turned 14, she was forced to have a threesome with Colin and her mom. Not only did Colin perform acts on Annabelle, but so did her own mother. Annabelle would later say of all the terrible things her mom had done to her, this was the worst thing ever. At times, all the women and the girls of the cult were forced to wear short skirts and Egyptian makeup because Colin liked that. And they were forced to work like that so he could watch them all day, I guess. He started forcing Annabelle to have sex with other boys and men in the cult, and also have a follower record it so his perverted self could watch it later. At 17, Annabelle got pregnant and had her baby girl at 18. Colin was the dad, of course. Colin would but not only the girls, but also the boys. In 2008, Colin's oldest son, 25-year-old Damien, hanged himself during a sex act gone wrong, and he had also recorded it on his phone. No telling what Colin had done to him in the past. After Annabelle had the baby, it wasn't long till Colin told her she had to go to work at the church with the other adult women. The cult had a house rented in Bristol, as Annabelle would soon learn, for prostitution. Bristol was a bit of a drive away from where they lived, so the women were gone 3 or 4 days at a time. Most of the proceeds from them selling their bodies would line Colin's pockets. Or Colin would say, no, proceeds went all to the church. Annabelle would have to leave her baby to stay in Colin's house when she was gone on these trips. And when she would return, her baby girl would often have bruises and soaked diapers. She knew she had to escape, if for no other reason but for her little daughter. She began sneaking money out that she made while prostituting. And after sleeping with 1,800 men, she was finally able to break free from the cult. The cult was smashed by police in the summer of 2010 when 2 courageous victims, a man and a woman, went to them with their stories of abuse at the hands of Colin and some of the women in the cult. The recorded material from the orgies were destroyed before Colin's arrest. He was tipped off by friends in London about the impending raid on his home 2 days before it happened. You friends suck. You may not suck to Colin, but to the rest of the world, you suck as friends. During the trial, more abuse victims came forward. One schoolgirl testified she was taken to a satanic parties where she would be passed around to have sex with complete strangers. At one, an altar was set out, a goblet of wine, an incense burner, and salted bread, and sect members disrobed, or in their words, became sky-clad and had. Elaine Collins, wife of 28 years, testified against him too. She told the court that while she and Annabelle's mom, Jacqueline, had been involved in threesomes, they also had a lesbian fling together. She only found out later that her husband and Jacqueline had been having a long-term affair. The discovery was made when Jacqueline sent him a birthday card with the words, "To my husband" on it. And of all things, that's what set her off. Well, my husband has sex with children, and he children. But what's going to upset me is because this woman that I also have sex with and my husband has sex with has now said my husband is her husband. Wah. Of her marriage, Elaine said on one occasion he sent a photo of her to the reader's wife section of a pornographic magazine, and then this led them to meeting other couples for group activities. She even admitted to an act with a young boy in order to please Colin. The boy was 16 at the time, and it was a threesome that not only involved the boy and Elaine, but Jacqueline too. In the cult, children were led to believe they were proving themselves to the gods by passing these tests. And it either involved sex with Colin or other followers. Colin had 2 Rottweiler dogs, poor dogs, named Sikate after Egyptian lion goddess and Toot short for Tutankhamun. I'm sure I got that wrong. The dogs could often be heard leaping at the door, and he used to walk around the estate with the 2 dogs as if to intimidate people, and he also trained the dogs to attack if needed, and he would threaten the children with the dogs. They didn't do what he wanted them to do. He would say, I'd have these dogs attack you because he's a sick son of a gun. Colin was found guilty of 35 offenses and could be serving 11 years up to life in prison. Jacqueline Marling, which was Annabelle's mother and right-hand woman of Colin, is serving 12 years. Elaine, the wife, was jailed for 8 years. Shelley Miller, described during the trial as Colin's slave, was jailed for 5 years. Vincent Barden, who was not a cult member, was jailed for 3 years after admitting 2 counts of SA on an underage girl. I hadn't even heard of him until I just looked some up and that name popped up. I guess he is a pedophile too. Colin was set in court to have been active as a molester and rapist of children and young people for more than 3 decades. To this day, Colin denies a cult even existed. It is thought that Colin Batley may never be released from prison, and personally, I hope he never is. Some of my information about the cult was taken from the book called The Devil on the Doorstep by Annabelle Forrest. If you guys would like to read it, I just thought I'd throw that out there. And that, guys, is a story of the Kidwelly cult. Thanks for joining me today in the murder she shed. If you enjoyed my telling of this lesser-known cult case, then make sure you hit the subscribe button so you can keep up with any new videos that often involve crimes that are rarely discussed. Now it is time for me and Simon's bloopers. I love y'all and I truly appreciate each and every one of y'all. I hope y'all have a great, blessed, amazing week. Whole daggum cat family performing a sex act on him. We'll just put it that way. Nicely, kind of nicely, nicer. They would then have a giant orgy. Yeah. Giant orgies. No, I think I'll pass. Really think I'll pass today, Mr. Colin. Go on with yourself. From them selling their bodies would line Colin's pockets. Just admit it, Colin, you're a pimp. You are a pimp. Just put that out there. Hey, ho. Disrobed, or in their words, became skyclad and had skyclad. Does that mean when you're nude, you're open to the sky for all to see? Skyclad. Where did they get this word, skyclad? Maybe I just don't know what it means. I've never heard this word before in my life. Everything is open up there to the heavens. Good Lord. I'm getting sidetracked again. Show goes on. It has freaking rained all day. And Simon was good most of the day, and he was calm most of the day. I guess he got bored, because then he wanted me to go out in the rain and ride the four-wheeler in the rain. He was begging me and begging me and begging me. So guess what? His mama went out and rode the four-wheeler in the rain. He is so spoiled. I put on rain stuff, but I was still soaked. Yeah, because it was coming down like cats and dogs. Why are they called rain when it comes down? Coming down like cats and dogs. Cats and dogs, they don't come down from anything that I know of. Well, trees, cats sometimes come down from trees, but I should look that up. I'm going to look that up right now. Oh my gosh, you guys, literally, it should be a video in itself because you know what where raining like cats and dogs came from? I was like in my head, why does that mean what it says? Because I think of weird things like that. And then when I looked it up, this is why it says that. During Victoria times when household pets like cats and dogs slept during the night on the eaves of the house. When it would rain heavily, the water from the roof washed them off the eaves and they came down with the torrent of water from the roofs of the house. You guys know that? Like, what the heck? I wonder how many cats and dogs died like that. That was horrible. So now when I say that, all I'm going to see is these little dead animals getting blown off the roof of houses. I will never say that term again. It's horrible. I did not know that. I should research that more. Get back to you on that, okay? And I'll let Simon tell you bye. I'm not going to put him on a roof anytime soon. Don't got to worry about that. Come on, boy. He's glad to see y'all. He loves y'all. And he says, bye, he loves y'all so much. You support me all the time. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Oh, my God. Let y'all go. I'll talk to you later. Love y'all. Bye. Let's make our way out. Let's dance. Let's dance. Oh, my God, you're crazy. You're crazier than I am. Look at me. But I was not muddy when this began.